Good day, great student of A Plus Model Schools, Ekwetumodo, Osun State, Nigeria. My name is Taylor Samson Additional. I will be your biology tutor today. Before we go into today's topic, let us do a quick revision of what we talked about last week. Last week we talked about the structures of the male and female gametes. We talked about the male gametes. We talked about their shape, how it looks like. We said it looks like tadpole, and it has a tail called flagellum. We talked about the female gametes too, and we'll talk about their size too. It said that it's bigger than the sperm, which is the male gamete. Talk about how it is being developed in the ovum. Talk about the difference between male and female reproductive organs. Talk about so many things that differentiate male and female reproductive organs from each other. We talk about their similarities too, what they have in common, both male and female reproductive organ. Today we'll be going to reproductive system in vertebrate 2. We just finished the reproductive system in vertebrate, the first part. Now we'll be going to the second part, and we'll be treating a subtopic, structural difference in eggs of vertebrates. Structural difference in eggs of vertebrates. Now, we're going to check about the physical structure, the difference between the eggs of different vertebrates. Vertebrates are animals with what? With backbones. So we're going to talk about the difference in their eggs. First one we'll be talking about is the fish eggs. The egg of a fish. They are very small and appear like a mass of sand grains. If you ever seen the eggs of a fish, it looks like sand grains. The egg contains the young fish and is enclosed in an egg case or membrane. It is enclosed in an egg case or membrane. In amphibians, toad or frog, the eggs are small and what? Spherical. That is the shape of the egg, are spherical in shape. An egg consists of semi-liquid cytoplasm containing a nucleus surrounded by a tough black egg membrane. We are talking about the toad, the amphibians, the egg of an amphibian. The toad egg is black on the undersurface because of the protoplasm of the egg is full of yolk granules, abundant in the lower part of the egg. That means there is a protoplasm full of what? Yolk granules in abundant at the lower part of the egg. That's why the base of the egg of a toad or of a frog is what? Is black in color. That's one of your objective questions. They can ask you why the base or the bottom part of the egg of a toad is black in color. You should be able to give the right answer to that. The egg has a thin coat which absorbs water and swells to form jelly or albumen. That means it absorbs water from its environment with a thin coat and makes it somehow jelly or albumen. This jelly protects the egg and separates them from one another in a break-like manner. It helps to separate the egg from one another. Now let's talk about the eggs in reptiles. Example of reptile is a gamma lizard. The egg is cream colored. It has a soft but tough leathery shell. That means the shell, the outer part of it is soft but it's what? Leathery in shape. In quality, it absorbs water from the surrounding soil and increases in size or volume. It absorbs water from the soil in which it is being laid, and it makes it to increase in size or volume. Now let's talk about the egg of a bird. The egg of the bird is the largest single animal cell. Yeah, if you notice the egg of your hen, you can refer your hen as your bird, or your fowl. You can refer it as a bird. The egg of the bird is the largest single animal cell. Its porous shell allows for the exchange of gases with the egg and its environment. That means the shell that is porous allows the what? Exchange of gases with the environment where the egg is being laid. The egg possesses two membranes enclosing the albumen. It possesses two membranes that enclose or that safeguard the albumen. The albumen contains the yolk, in which the germinal disc or embryo occupies the innermost core. The embryo albumen contains the yolk, in which the germinal disc or embryo occupies the innermost core. Now let's talk about the mammalian egg. The mammalian egg is microscopic. It's microscopic. That means you cannot see it with your naked eyes. and is about 0.1 millimeter in diameter. It consists of the cytoplasm, a nucleus in the center, granules and yolk droplets. The yolk provides a source of nourishment for developing embryo. That means this yolk is the source of what? Nourishment that nourishes the embryo for the development of the embryo. The ovum, which is the egg, is surrounded by two membranes. The inner one is the plasma membrane, while the outer one is the what? The vitelline membrane. It can also be asked in your objective. The ovum of an egg is surrounded by two membranes, namely dash. You should be able to know that the outer membrane is what? It's called the plasma membrane, while the inner membrane is called the plasma membrane, while the outer membrane is one we call the vitelline membrane. Now, this is a diagram of the life cycle of a jellyfish. The diagram of a life cycle of a jellyfish. You can see from the fertilized egg, to the what? To the larva. From the larva to the polyp. From the polyp to the, you can see the polyp transform to a young medusa. It also transforms to what? Adult medusa. And you can see your jellyfish forming. You can see the tentacles. You can see the mouth. You can see the feeding arm. So this is how a jellyfish reproduces. This is the life cycle of a jellyfish. From that jellyfish, another fertilized egg will come out, and that's how the cycle continues. So that's a very good diagram. At the end of this, I believe you should be able to answer some of these questions. You should be able to mention two structural differences between the eggs of a fish and a reptile. I think that one is well discussed. It is well discussed. You should be able, in what ways are the eggs of a mammal different from that of the reptile? You should be able to differentiate between the eggs of a mammal and a reptile. Now let's go to another subtopic. Let us compare reproduction in fish, reptiles, and mammals. We want to compare reproduction in fish, reptiles, and mammals. We want to compare the reproduction in fish, reptiles, and mammals. All vertebrates start life as a result of fission of a male and female gamete. Before any vertebrate can be produced, there must be a what? Fission of a male and female gamete, and which is also known as fertilization. Fertilization must occur. The male and female gametes must come in together, either copulation, either by artificial insemination, any means. There must be a fertilization before any vertebrate can start a life. In fish, fertilization is external of the animal body. The fertilization occurs externally in fish. In reptile, birds and mammals, fertilization is internal. In reptiles, birds and mammals, fertilization is internal. Consequently, there is always some type of cohesion or mating before fertilization can occur. Yes, in mammals, reptiles, and birds, there must be a kind of copulation, a kind of cohesion, a kind of mating, a kind of sexual activities before fertilization can occur. In all vertebrates, some courtship behaviors always precede mating prior to fertilization. That means there must be a behavior between the male and the female animal before it's what? It leads to mating, which will lead to what? Fertilization. Most fishes lay their eggs with shells in water. It is called oviparity. When an animal lays egg outside the body system, we call it oviparity. But when it is internal, it is called what? Viviparity. So most fishes lay their eggs with shells in water. They lay their eggs with shells in water, which is also known as oviparity, where they are fertilized. It is inside the water when they lay the egg that they were what? They are fertilized. Most reptiles also lay eggs, which is oviparity, which have shells that may be soft and leathery or hard. I think we've talked about that one. All reptiles lay their eggs on land. All reptiles lay their eggs. They don't lay in the water. They lay it on land. However, some fishes, reptiles, and most mammals are viviparous. They are viviparous. That means the fertilization takes place internally. They lay eggs inside, not outside. They give birth to well-developed young ones alive. That means they give birth like human beings. You don't see human beings lay eggs. They have eggs, but they don't lay their eggs. What you see at the end of the 9 months is a newborn baby, a baby coming out, a living organism coming out of their body. So they give birth to to their young ones alive, develop young ones alive, which is also called viviparity, Now, many fishes lay large number of eggs every breeding season. That means their number of eggs is very high anytime they are breeding. This is to compensate for high mortality rate from their eggs to the young ones. That means their eggs is subjected to what? High mortality rate. That means they die. Their eggs, most of their eggs doesn't give rise to young ones. So they give a large number of these eggs so that we compensate the high mortality rate from their eggs to the young one. Reptiles, on the other hand, lay fewer eggs. They lay fewer eggs. Their eggs is not as much as the fishes, about 20 to 70 eggs at a time. They lay about 20 to 70 eggs at a time. The number of eggs laid by birds vary from species to species. The number of eggs laid by birds, that means it is different due to their species. Most fishes and reptiles do not show parental care for their young ones, for their eggs or young ones. Yes, they don't care. Once they just lay the egg, they just leave. Most of them, not all of them though, most of them doesn't show parental care for their eggs or young ones. That means they don't have a motherly care. In the case of mammals, parental care is mostly high developed. You can notice example of mama is human being. You can see how our parents care for us. They care for us very well, which is not applicable in some fishes and reptiles. The young ones are protected and fed until they can fend for themselves. That means they protect them to a stage where they know that they can live successfully on their own. Generally, vertebrates that show external fertilization, fishes. Generally, vertebrates that show external fertilization, fishes produces more eggs and experience high mortality rate. Any vertebrate, especially fishes, that show external fertilization produces more egg and experience high. That means the eggs is what? Subjected to high mortality rate. That means most of the eggs they doesn't change to young ones. Most of the eggs doesn't graduate or doesn't change to a living organisms. That's what we call mortality rate. That means there is high death rate of these eggs. So produce more eggs. That's why they produce more eggs, and they experience higher mortality rates among their eggs and young ones than reptiles. Among their eggs and young ones than reptiles and mammals, which show internal fertilization. That means animals that show external fertilization tends to lose most of these young ones or eggs than those ones that shows internal fertilization, like the reptiles and mammals. Now, let's see some comparison of reproduction in some vertebrates. On the table here, we have the types of vertebrates, types of breeding, mode of fertilization, number of egg lays, mode of growth, parental care. Now let's check fishes. Fishes, the time of breeding is seasonal. That means they breed on season basis, and their mode of fertilization is external. That means they are what? They are oviparous. Number of egg laid. They laid millions of eggs, and I told you that the reason why the eggs are many is because of the high mortality rate. They use to compensate the high mortality rate. Most mode of growth, they are oviparous. I think I've said that they are oviparous. And parental care, they have no parental care. They don't care about their young ones or the eggs. The reptiles is also seasonal, and the mode of fertilization is internal. Number of eggs laid, they are many, mostly oviparous. None of the reptiles has parental care except Nile crocodile. This animal shows parental care except Nile crocodile. Under mammals, seasonal except in human. The mammals too are seasonal, but human is not seasonal. Human can get pregnant at any time. Mode of fertilization is internal. None. Number of egg laid, none except in monotremes. Monotremes is an example of a mammal that lays egg outside. So none except Number of eggs laid, none except in monotremes. That means they don't lay egg. They produce egg, but they don't lay egg. Mode of growth is viviparous. That means it's internal. Mostly viviparous. They are internal. And parental care occurs for a very long period of time. Yes, they do care for a very long period of time. With all this explanation, I believe we've come to the end of today's lesson. And at the end of this, you should be able to answer the following questions. You should be able to describe the mode of fertilization in fishes and reptiles. If you cannot do that, please rewind back and go back to the video and watch again with the explanation. You will understand. You should be able to give 2 reasons for vast difference in the number of eggs laid by fishes and reptiles. I think I've been hammering on that throughout this class. So you should be able to know that. Give 2 reasons for vast difference in the number of eggs laid by fishes and reptiles. What do you understand by viviparity? What do you understand by viviparity? Discuss the structural difference in the eggs of the fish, reptile, and mammal. The structural difference in the eggs of the fish, reptile, and mammal. Should we describe the mode of fertilization of fish, reptile, and mammal? The mode in which the fertilization takes place in fish, reptiles, and mammal. You should be able in which way does parental care by some vertebrates account for the number of egg lays at a time? This is a very logical question. If you understand this class very well, you should be able to answer this question easily. In which way does parental care by some vertebrates account for the number of eggs laid at a time? Use 2 typical examples. Distinguish between oviparity and viviparity in vertebrates. Distinguish between oviparity and viviparity. If you answer all these questions, it will help you. It will help you, especially in WAEC. You will find this topic very easy to answer. If any question should come from this topic inside your WAEC, because these are the most likely questions that WAEC used to ask, or NECO that they used to ask. So in which way does parental care by some vertebrate account for the number of eggs laid at a time? Distinguish between oviparity and viviparity in vertebrates. Briefly describe the reproduction process in fishes and reptiles. Describe the reproduction process in fishes and reptiles. All these are the things that you should sit down during this week and you should find solution to. Now, assignment. I need you to read about the reproductive system in plants. That's our next topic. I need you to read about the reproductive system in plants. List 5 problems associated with external fertilization and show how the organism or concerned adapt to the problem. Listen. List 5 problems associated with external fertilization and show how the organism concerned adapts to the problem. With this, I believe we have come to the end of today's class, and I believe you understand this class very well. Till then, till we meet again, see you next class and stay blessed.